what's going on, everyone? It's Brian and Jim here with Drink a Beer and Play a Game, and welcome to another episode of the Power Hour podcast.
Yes, hello, everyone. Welcome to episode 262. Thank you for joining us tonight. We are back. Sorry about that little hiatus there, little impromptu. But
Jim, how's all the rashes and all the yellow stuff coming out?
Oh, the yellow stuff is plentiful. Jimmy, I might not be sick anymore, but I still have the residuals going on. And ooh, is it gross.
Yeah, Chambers has been a busy little boy between being sickies and just, doing gym stuff, drinking and drugging like his cousins. You know how it goes.
Well, I took a little trip to North Carolina, and then I had, my show opening for Sponge, and then I got sick. So there we go.
Jim, when you perform with someone called Sponge, I'm shocked that you get sick.
Dare to sing, Brian.
Speaking of being busy, though, before we continue, I do want to say thank you for Gamer Week's podcast for having me on. I got to try to fill in for Ryan. Of course, there's no filling in for him, but I got to chat with Donnie and Blue. It was a great time. We're going to have the link below. Always enjoy talking to them, and I can't wait to have all of them on another episode of the Power Hour podcast. So, guys, thank you once again for having me on that.
Yep. I believe that was, episode 120?
Yes, 120.
I like how they're like, hey, what have you guys been up to lately? And your immediate story is, oh, we met AVG Ed and Jim got too drunk and passed out. I was like, son of a bitch.
I mean, is it a lie?
No, it's not a lie. Right.
It's not very Jim.
It's not my fault I'm the interesting one. I'm the story maker over here, Brian.
You know what? You do generate stories, but one of us has to be able to be aware enough to tell it, Jim.
Right. I'm like Poochie. When I'm not even around, someone's going, where's Poochie? What's Poochie up to?
Well, Jim, if you want this too many games, I'll be the story creator. You just have to stay cohesive enough to remember it. Can you do that?
Risky proposition, but all I can promise is I will try.
Chambers,
and yes, we will be at too many games this year, so if you're there, come say hi. Blah, blah, blah.
Yep. Yeah, and Chambers, before we touch on what you're drinking, I got a little thing. I've been sitting here looking at this fucking deck. I think we've talked about before of random video game trivia I have right next to my thing.
Ah, all right.
And for first sip, if you answer wrong, you drink. If you answer right, I drink.
All right.
So I have a question for you. In which year was the popular game Snake first made available on Nokia phones, specifically the Nokia 6110?
What year?
Mm-hmm.
Fucking hell. 1997?
1998.
Damn it! That was my first guess. Oh, and I second guessed myself.
So take a little sipperoonie. It's all right.
So close.
So, Chambers, now that you have had a sip, did I notice a green beer that you are sipping on tonight?
Why, yes, you did, Brian. And I think that comes through in the camera. You can see the green in that.
I wasn't sure if it was the glass or the beer itself.
Nope, that was the beer itself. Because I am drinking from Voodoo Brewing out of Meadville, PA, the Lacto Cooler, a flavored Berliner-style Weiss Ale. It's got just covered in looking like Slimer on the cover.
Okay.
Yep. So yeah, it kind of just does taste like they threw a shitload of Ecto Cooler inside of a Weiss. But, yeah, I don't... Oh, 5.5% alcohol, which is actually more than I was expecting. So...
Nice.
Yeah, this is pure dessert, snack, sweet, slightly tart goodness right here. Like, it does not taste like a beer. It just tastes like Ecto Cooler, basically, but with alcohol in it. So
nice. Now, Voodoo always makes good stuff. They're one of the underrated, I think, PA breweries. Now, listen, if you're from Pittsburgh or that area, you're going to disagree. You're going to be like, they're the greatest thing ever. But around us, we don't get as much of it. But still, I think it's pretty damn good brewery. So good choice. I'm also sticking with PA, and I'm going with Victory's Juicy Monkey. Their hazy Imperial IPA. Of all the monkey brands that they have like so many now.
Yeah.
This is one I hadn't tried till I just went to the beer store. It's 9.5%. So it is a goddamn strong boy. It is very cloudy. It's pretty damn dark. And what I will say is it goes down so goddamn smooth. For an Imperial IPA, it actually, like, even though the pictures and stuff show like cherries and pineapples, I get like strawberry, like a lot of strawberry, maybe some citrus, like, so maybe that's the pineapple, but it's damn delicious, dude, and it's dangerous. And the only reason I even knew about this beer, when I was at the beer store, I'm like walking and some chick was like trying to look for something, and then I started looking and she's like, "Oh, do you happen to, like, do you ever try Juicy Monkey? Do you happen to know where it is in here?" So of course I was like, "Oh yeah, of course I do." No idea where it was. So we found it. I was like, "Well, now I got to give it a try." So it was a damn good recommendation, Chambers.
There you go.
And I got yelled at for being chatty again.
Oh, well, duh. Well, you goddamn do.
It's a curse.
What did I do? What did I do? I didn't do nothing.
I kind of sound like Rocky now.
Hey, you want to touch this fucking thing?
God damn it. How'd you know what I say?
I've been around you too long. I've been around you at these conventions. With your pick of the litter throwing himself at you.
Hey, I am the victim in there, and the record has shown it. I have witnesses. I mean, you're never awake for half of it, so.
I was napping during a lot of that.
But no, I would highly recommend. I mean, you like all the other monkey brands, right? Like all those other flavors.
I haven't had any of the monkeys that I've disliked really at all.
You know, it's funny. You and I have talked so much about Golden Monkey on here, and it's been years probably at this point since I've had it because I try all the other ones, and that one is so strong. But like now with all the different flavor ones, I'm like, is it pushed to the side? I don't know. It's tough to say.
It's in that Old Faithful category at this point.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for sure. Maybe that's how we should pregame, Jim. Do that for too many games.
I mean, that is... Oh, Jesus Christ. Well, we can't play our fucking card games then.
Or we could, and it gets really epic.
Yeah, that's fine. I don't have to go down to the floor. That's fine. I'll take extra milk thistle.
Fucking milk thistle. You sons of bitches. So, Chambers, question for you. You've been on hiatus, obviously, between the traveling and the being sick, but you better tell me you've been saving the Commonwealth and been doing some gaming. Because I know there's one thing you haven't done, and that's come in first place.
Yep, have not come in first place in Tetris yet. I'm dipping my toe back in because after watching our good buddy Burn Retinas do it, I'm like, I got to do it. One of these years I got to do it. One day Tetris 99 will be no more, and that will be the ultimate monkey on my back. So I'm dabbling here and there in that, but I'm not going as hard as I should because up until probably yesterday, I was like hopelessly addicted to Fallout 4. And I still want to go back and finish it, but I'm starting to hit that wall where it's like, all right, I've done basically the same mission for about 28 hours now. I'm starting to get kind of done with this. Probably doesn't help. Like, I know if you do the Minutemen missions, that's supposed to give you the best ending. But that's also like 60 hours of doing the same mission again and again. Go to this area, clean these guys out, help these guys, these out, build this stuff. It's just like, ugh.
I got word another settlement could use your help.
God,
over
fuck you.
And over again.
Fuck you, Preston Garvey. Jesus Christ.
Well, here's what I'll say, Jim. I don't know if I agree that their ending is the best. So
good. I'll just stop now. Then I'm fucking sick of them.
I mean, I think at this point you're probably deep enough, and we might have already covered it. Like of the 4 endings you can get, you know it's from them, Brotherhood of Steel,
yeah,
the Institute, and what the fuck's the 4th one?
I haven't even made it to the Institute yet. I've just been side questing the entire
Jesus!
goddamn time.
Wow. Okay. So yeah, the game's really gonna open up for you. All I'll say is don't dump all your time into Minutemen. Is really my high suggestion. I would suggest stick with the main mission for a pretty good chunk, and then do some more split offs.
I mean, I think I'm good on the splitting off now because I'm just like. It's getting tiring, and I'm like, all right, I think I'm leveled up enough. Like, I'm like level 27 right now. where it's like I'll probably blow through the early like story missions like it's nothing at this point.
Probably. I forget if that game though. I think they maintain the level of the enemies as you go up. I don't think they'll stay as low level, but I'm not sure. It's been a little while.
Yeah, I mean I get legendaries fairly often coming after me now.
Shit in your pants every time.
Fucking Enclave goddamn ambush me, cocksuckers.
And you said you didn't get the DLC, right?
I didn't, but I know when they did their next gen patch for the base game, I think a lot of the DLC came over. Because like I know like
you should check it out. Yeah,
like the Crucible mission was like a DLC mission, but that's like in my game now. So like after I did that and got that weapon, and got ambushed by the Enclave, I'm like, oh, apparently this is DLC shit. So okay.
So you might have some of it. I was gonna say if not, look into it because it's on crazy sale right now, and you can probably get the entire base game with all DLC for like $15. So I can imagine the DLC itself must be dirt cheap.
Hopefully, yeah.
Yeah. So has that been your kind of main go-to though?
Pretty much, yeah. I was like actually kind of glad I was starting to get a little burnout because I'm like, I got to get around to fucking Postal. I got to just get that done so we can get that review out. I got to come over someday soon so we can finally do the Toilet in Wonderland review. That's been a long time coming until all my bullshit started up. So
nice.
We'll get there.
I think it has been 2 weeks since this happened, but I did message you. I had to put my toes back in Tetris 99.
Sure fucking did.
Jim, you were right. It took me like 10 tries. It was ridiculous.
Poor baby. Poor little bitch.
On my first game, I was like third. I was like, oh, son of a bitch. And then like my second or third game, I was like 60th. I was like, God damn, I just got whooped. So yeah, that game is it's a motherfucker. I'll give you that, Jim.
Sure is. Sure is.
I have to test the water for you. I'm trying to help build your case. That's really tough.
Yeah, that's what we call it.
But no, I've been playing the absolute shit out of Killer Clowns from Outer Space, which I've really enjoyed it. So it is very much like Friday the 13th, except a lot of the mechanics are cleaned up. The movement's cleaned up. There's a lot more you can do. And it instead of like, if you remember Friday the 13th, it was so much more about sneaking around. And sure, that can be a strategy, but you're 3 clowns versus 7 humans. And I would say the majority of the time, the humans are like willing and actually sometimes looking to engage with you because there's so many weapons for them. Plus, if you're killed as a human, there's this like resurrection machine so you can be brought back. So it's a lot more like if you die, you're not just completely out of it. And even when you die, you have a chance to help your other humans by like giving them special items through mini games that are done like in Atari style. So there's a lot of like little things going on. But the base game itself, it still suffers from that atypical, like after you've done 20 matches, you've probably seen everything. And yes, the variety is who you're playing. And the one thing I love that they have that I think all games should have is proximity chat. Like hearing someone freaking out as I'm putting them into a cotton candy cocoon, they're like, fuck you. And they even like mumble their mouths once you actually fill them with cotton candy. So
nice
cool. Little touches like that. Yeah. Really fun game. Not the deepest. But I think base was $30, $40. It wasn't like a $70 game, which is what we talked about.
So yeah, when you're on Gamers Week talking about it briefly, and you were mentioning like the stranglehold that Dead by Daylight has. So for any of these new IPs that come out for like horror related shit for like these asymmetrical games, like you as the guy who plays all of them, would you just rather them all be characters thrown into Dead by Daylight at this point, or are you happy to see like a different game, even though you might only put it like 2 or 3 weeks into it and never touch it again?
I'm happy because one, like certain things, it will never be popular enough to get in Dead by Daylight. Like the latest by Dead by Daylight, they brought in Vecna from Dungeons and Dragons. So they're hitting the biggest IPs out there. Like literally, I'm not going to be shocked if like with Jason now that it seems that license is opening up, and even though the game's coming, like if that gets flexible and they get him in there, That's really the last big shark they have. They've talked about getting Spring Trap from Five Nights at Freddy's. So that game though, I'm back on my hiatus like I was like last year because it's so goddamn sweaty. Like there's no casualness to it at all. And I'm sorry. Like even though I've played it a lot in that game is minimum 1,000 hours. And with all I've played, I'm maybe at 200, 300 tops over the 6 years or however long I've been playing it. So
That's it.
I really haven't dumped, because the thing is, you figure in a given hour or 2 hours, you only get 4 or 5 games in tops. Like you're not getting in a ton of games, and these people that play it, I mean, they're hardcore dedicated, and it's not fun like that. So a game like Killer Clowns and Texas Chainsaw and all these other ones, I encourage that and I like it. There's an indie developer who made a puppet master game, which looks pretty cool. Because they're never going to show up in Dead by Daylight. And if they do, they'll just get watered down with needing to exist in that universe. So I encourage it, and I like the shit out of it.
Cool.
But yeah, outside of that, I finally am completely done Fallout 3 and all the DLC. I made my first of several videos I'll be making because I just have like 200 gigs of video, and I'm like, I need to just use it up as best I can.
Yeah, I'll actually be coming back with my old thrifting series because I just have so many goddamn clips over the past couple years of just like, I just got to find like the very few clips of where I have actually something worth looking at in between like just all the other stuff. It's like, oh, this is cool. Oh, that's cool. Blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
But just to get it off my goddamn hard drives.
Same. I'm going back. There may be, like I'm doing with Puppet Combo, I may even do shorter reviews of some games. I'm like, I don't think this needs a full review, but it's enough for me to just say, hey, you should try this out. But I will say, because of Fallout 3, and I mentioned in the first video, I have my full Fallout fever. I have all my old footage from New Vegas, so I'll be able to make stuff off that. I dipped my toes back into Fallout 4, like literally as of today. And I'll probably dick around with 76. So this is not going to be something, it's like going to be probably over the rest of summer. I'll just be recording and like getting those out alongside some of the other videos we got coming. But yeah, I'm completely invested in Fallout again. So any chance of franchises or 24 and 24 is out the goddamn window for me.
Yep. Welcome to the club, Brian.
I've accepted defeat, Jim. I'm like, you know what? It is what it is. But what I do love is I love on our Discord, and I love our Patrons who are following along. I love seeing, like, living vicariously through them and seeing which franchises they're polishing off. Some of them I can't believe that the ones they're choosing and that they're actually getting done, because, whew, it's better men than me. I'll say that.
Link below to our Discord, open invite. So click the link, you'll be in there. And if for some reason I fucked up the link, then just message me on anything. I'll get you in there.
Yeah. But Chambers, with that, we might have a backlog of questions. So what do we have from our patrons?
Patreon.com/DrinkABeerandPlayAGame, where for as little as $2 a month, you can ask a question that we will answer on each and every single one of these Power Hour podcasts. So first one actually came in for episode 261, like right after we recorded, as usual. So from Colin Wysong, with the recent Drake versus Kendrick Lamar beef, so you can see how long this has been, buzzing in the hip-hop community, what is your favorite video game beef?
Do they mean like console war, or do you think they mean like...
You can probably go console war, or you can go like, developers making little snips at each other through their games, or even if developers shit talk each other just openly. Or maybe in the gaming space, maybe gaming content creators. You could always go that route.
See, I have to keep my shit as basic as possible, and it's, for me, when I hear console war, there is only one in my head: Super NES and Sega Genesis. Yes, I know PlayStation, Xbox, and all that shit, but as a kid, I can remember hearing it on the playground, I'll say. And that's the only thing I can ever relate to as like hearing real beef between gaming tribes. I'm not on Twitter enough. I see a shit ton of stupid ass drama. But I don't know enough to really comment on that. So yeah, the original console war. I'll say that.
I know there used to be like some developers who would put these little Easter eggs, little like fuck yous basically to each other, but I can't remember. It's been so friggin' long. So I'll go with it's almost like a one-sided console war at the time with Nintendo versus PlayStation. What during the old PlayStation 1 ads when they would have Crash Bandicoot outside of Nintendo of America, just shit talking through the microphone. I love those friggin' ads.
Yeah. I wish more games would throw little like FUs at game. Like the closest, and it wasn't a real FU in Duke Nukem 3D. And one of the secrets, like you find the Doom Marine like half dead, and he's like, "Oh, that's one doomed space marine," and like it was a little like nod. But I wish there was more like shit talking ones or like. Yeah, I wish there was more of that. But I guess licensing and IPs and everyone being a bitch.
Slander. I'm going to get my lawyer. Yeah, I'm going to have to do a little research because I know there's some out there that I'm just not remembering right now.
Yeah. No, I like that, Colin, though.
Yep. Next up from Kev. What games have the worst cutscene to gameplay ratio? Metal Gear. Metal Gear. Especially like Metal Gear Solid 4. Not even like sitting there playing it myself because that's a gaping hole in my like gaming. But I've sat there as my friends have played some of these games. And especially fucking 4. Like 4 famously ends with like an hour and a half long like cutscene. And like even during the course of the game, like there's like a little bit of gameplay and then a long 20-minute fucking cutscene. It's ridiculous. Like we all love Kojima, but Kojima needs to stop jerking himself off sometimes too. He's got to be reined in a little bit sometimes.
I would say as a newer game that you and I played, it was Uncharted. There was a lot of cutscenes in that first one. I don't know about the second. I only beat the first game. There was a lot, but that's the kind of thing. I mean, it's going for being a more cinematic game that you play. So, yeah, for an action game, it was very cutscene heavy. I'll say that.
Yep, fair. Next up from Snarkast. What is the most annoying beer commercial, radio or TV, and why? For him, it was the Real Men of Genius because of the singing. To which Todd Howard commented, I love those, shaking my head, no taste snark. I agree. Real Men of Genius was fucking fantastic. That was awesome. It was hilarious. And goddamn, it just made you feel like a man. Those were great. Snark, you are dead wrong. Now, if you wanted to go was up, I can go with was up because the joke got old pretty quick. But Real Men of Genius, how dare you, sir?
The was up was annoying, but back in the day, it was entertaining for a minute, and then Scary Movie did it.
We all did it. We all did it.
Yeah, like so. Yes, it wore out its welcome, but also back in those days, they would like turn around new commercials fairly frequently. Like, shit, remember that little run with like the Bud Light Night, and like those commercials I actually enjoyed. Like I thought they were okay.
Yeah,
but you know what? No, fuck this. The worst commercials are like when it's like fucking like Pitbull. And I got to hear his music over a Bud Light commercial. Like, those things, I'm like, what the fuck? I'm like, get out of here. You're
Pitbull
annoying. Like,
killed the 2003 NHL season. Every single commercial break, no hyperbole, every single commercial break was the same Pitbull commercial. Every single goddamn time. Bud Light, Pitbull. Every time.
Yeah, he was annoying. Because you know what? Even if it's a joke that doesn't land well, I applaud beer commercials that still try to put comedic elements into it.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I can go for that.
You ruined beer.
He really did. Everyone talks about Dylan Mulvaney. No one's bringing up goddamn what Pitbull did to goddamn Bud Light back then. That was the real crime. Speaking of Todd Howard sucks, the favorite cartoon you watched as a kid?
More adult cartoon, I would say Simpsons with my family up until whatever season, 8, 9, I don't know even now. But actual cartoon, god damn, it's like, was it X-Men? Or... It's tough because from like a kid, like I consider X-Men like a kid's cartoon, and I know that's about to sound weird, but then I think of ones like Ren Stimpy, Rocco's Modern Life, where I'm like, they were still kids, but it was like more adult themed.
I mean,
So
X-Men was pretty adult themed.
I know, but like for some reason with that, even though it was
Flashing
like,
a guy his Holocaust childhood drama was a little bit more than your standard 80s kids cartoon.
yeah, but like the innuendos with like Ren Stimpy, and he's like basically like butt fucking him with a saw. Like,
Oh yeah, yeah.
that was a pretty extreme. I don't know. Like Simpsons might have to be my most consistent because as a kid, like yeah, you might spend a summer and this was a cartoon you watched. I don't know if I consistently stayed on just one forever. So Simpsons might have to be my answer because that was every Sunday with my family. So
Yeah, same. And we like VHS recorded every single new episode every Sunday, and then we would go back and rewatch them all the time. For like a kid's quote unquote cartoon, I'm really torn between X-Men and Batman. I'm not sure. I might have to go X-Men just because I think like Batman was good, but when it turned into like the Batman and Robin adventures and shit like that, or the Adventures of Batman and Robin, and it had that like art change, I was like kind of like, the quality went down a bit. Where X-Men only went down in quality, and it's like last season. So I think I might have to go that one as far as the kids superhero shows go.
you know what completely passed me, and I don't know if it passed you as well. Did you ever like as we were growing up watch SpongeBob as it was out?
No, because that was when I was a super cool 14-year-old, and I went, "What are you watching cartoons? Gay."
Because now that I'm watching it, like rewatching them with like my kids,
Oh, it's great.
I'm like, it's actually pretty funny. Like, what the fuck?
Oh no, SpongeBob's awesome.
Yeah.
And compared to like
I'm-
the brain rot that my kid watches sometimes, I'm like, can we just please put some SpongeBob on?
oh yeah, for sure. But I'm like,
If
yeah,
I have to
like,
sit through one more video of her watching people play with dolls, I'm gonna
oh god,
lose my mind.
Yep. Don't even. Yeah.
What do you think's worse, those or those weird like asset flippy videos where it's like, oh, the Grinch versus Bluey having a dance contest, then like it goes like some weird like jump to the side challenge and shit like that. Have you ever seen those?
No, I haven't seen those, but I do know about the dolls, like the Anya and Elsia, and
That's
all
what she's watching right now.
Yeah, that's shit. So that one, the only thing I can say I'm okay with that is
It's harmless.
even though it's clearly an adult. I'm more creeped out when it's like a full family, like when Ryan's parents started getting involved in his videos.
Oh, they
You're
need
like,
to be
this is
arrested.
fucking weird. Well, and they did it because now they can take some of the money specifically because that's when YouTube changed their rules. But I'm like, that creeps me out. Like, as much as I hated Blippi and I thought that motherfucker was weird, at least he was educational. There's these like family videos that I'm like, cringe isn't even the right word. I'm creeped out. Like, I'm like, what the fuck are you doing? Maybe I'm being too mean. Maybe it is all in good fun, but there's something about it that, like, I don't know. It gives.
Oh no,
creeps me out.
No, Ryan is going to kill his parents one day. I am calling it now. That is going to be the big, high-profile game changer culture around YouTube and kids content kind of thing. When Ryan snaps and kills his parents, that'll be the thing. There's no way he doesn't.
Can't people see that's just the new kid? Like Macaulay Culkin, all Corey Feldman. Like, yeah, these YouTube young kids that are put on not by their own free will. They're the new kid stars that are like being taken advantage of, and it's really weird.
Oh yeah,
I don't like it. I don't like it, Jim. But
I
yeah,
am not a fan.
Moral of the story: SpongeBob was pretty good.
to bring it all full circle.
Good question, Todd Howard.
Yep. And last up from Burn Retinas, what is your favorite or scariest Jackie Chan stunt?
God, I can't. I forget which one it was. If it was Rumble in the Bronx or Super Cop, but when he's falling down the slanted rooftop.
Oh yeah.
And it's like a skyscraper. It's not like a regular. It's like forever. And because like all of his other stunts, don't get me wrong, there's plenty of crazy ones, but it's usually like, he's about to get hit in the face with a pipe. I'm like, this one, if he falls off the fucking roof of a skyscraper. Like, he's done. Just the scale of that one, I remember always impressing me pretty damn much. That one's hard to beat in my eyes.
Yeah, like there's a lot of the cool ones, like you said, like him jumping off the building onto that like hovercraft and Rumble in the Bronx, and even
Yeah.
like when was it Super Cop we watched for the bonus episode, or no, First Strike, Jack Chan's First Strike. And he's doing all those like rooftop like balcony fucking fights and like jumping from balcony to balcony, all that crap. So I mean,
That in that movie, he did do that one crazy helicopter stunt where he had to jump on the helicopter from the cliff. But like, yeah, that dude. Like, is there anyone who's comparable to him? Like, I remember for a while, like Jet Li was a big one, but like,
Tom Cruise now, weirdly enough.
well, I know him and his stunts too. Like, same deal, and he did a similar roof one, which I was like, oh, you're copying Jackie Chan. Doesn't make it less impressive. I'm like, it's still fucking insane. But
Yeah,
like,
and climbing up the side of that like the tallest like skyscraper in the world and shit, and hanging off the side of planes. Like, what the? How bored are you? How bored and rich are you?
you know what? I gotta give him credit though. Like those things, I'm like,
That's balls.
yeah, it's balls as hell. And I think they got to a point with Jackie Chan movies, like even like the Rush Hours. I just couldn't wait till the end credits. Those were the original like Marvel end credits where you're like, I can't wait to watch the bloopers after the movie. Like you would enjoy the shit out of them. Not enough movies. Movies need to go back to bringing that like automatically. Show me bloopers. It's always enjoyable.
Yeah, true. Or just go back to having movies be worth watching. Uh-oh, movie cinemas. The cinemas are dead.
Damn it, Jim. Damn it.
Sorry, everybody. Still a bit of a sniffle bitch over here. But yes, that wraps up the Patreon questions for this week. So once again, thank you to everyone out there for all the support. Get those questions in there. And the Krusty Corner returns this week. So even for $1, you can get access to those bonus segments from the podcast, along with some other content, and the tiers go up from there. And we are on iTunes, YouTube, and Spotify. So if you're listening on one, head to the others. Links are below. Leave some subscriptions, leave some comments. Anything will help the page.
Yeah, thank you guys. We always appreciate the support, and make sure get those questions in because we love being asked. Obviously, as you can see, a whole range of questions. So cheers, guys. Appreciate it.
Yep. Cheers, everybody. So actually, Brian, just to jerk myself off real quick, speaking of comments, speaking of helping the page, comment of the week. So this one comes to us from episode 258 from Leo, when it was one of my solo episodes, and he's going, kind of love the Black Pill Gym episodes, to be honest. Now, besides jerking myself off, thank you, Leo. I agree, I did do a great job. There is a recent news article that kind of, it's a thing that everyone always assumed was the case, and for a lot of people weirdly online, like, this seems shocking, where for me, I went, duh. Because 404 Media got a hold of a Google document of thousands of self-reported leaks. So Google recording people's information, recording the sound of children's voices, recording people's like vacation trips, all this kinds of like self-reported data. But a big one, coming back to the gaming space, is the fact that a lot of Nintendo leaks have happened because a Google employee would see the unlicensed or privated videos and leak the info out before Nintendo did. So, yeah, for when we had all these like bevy of like Nintendo leaks coming out and they all turned out to be right, and we're going, how the hell is this happening? Like, does Nintendo just not keep track of shit at all? It's not for lack of them trying, but you know, you host it on a page owned by the biggest company in the world, someone might see it and leak it.
Jim, I'm sorry I'm laughing. I had to Google black pilled.
Yes.
And what I'm looking up is very interesting. I'm on Quora.
Okay.
There's a million. It says black pilling refers to a concept that originated in online communities, particularly in context of dating and relationships. It is often associated with the incel community, but is not exclusive to it. The term black pill is derived from the idea of taking a metaphoric black pill instead of red pill from the movie The Matrix, which represents a harsh and often pessimistic reality.
Yep, that's me.
And then it goes into all these crazy things. It's like Nihilism, physical attractiveness. It asserts that physical attractiveness is the primary determinant. Like, there's just so much here. So it just means someone who's just ultra pessimistic.
Yep.
Okay, that's what I was getting at. Like, I'm like sitting here, I'm like, I don't know what black pill means. I gotta look this up. It is you. I said, I'm not gonna say since you've been married, Jim. I'm just gonna say you've become an angry boy, a boy that joy is fleeting.
Right. It's been from being the internet guy for this webpage and absolutely nothing else.
No, nothing else at all, Jim.
Nothing that I would ever say out loud or on the internet.
But to your point, a news like that, it's one of those things. It's kind of like, yeah, it's like some conspiracies that you hear that you go, okay, it's a conspiracy, but I could actually buy it. The idea that Google and all these things are listening to you, you're like, yeah, they've been selling our information. The fact that has now been tied to a Nintendo leak is pretty crazy. I don't know how you fix it. Like, I don't know.
You don't, unless Nintendo makes a proprietary video storage and sharing website, which they're not going to do. YouTube's still the biggest game in town, and if anything, it's still more free advertising for them, so it doesn't matter for them.
Yeah.
It's probably just an annoyance at worst.
Yeah. So
But just remember, people, you're monitored at all times. Nothing's sacred. Incognito mode, more like why bother mode.
God damn it. So Black Pill Jimmy strikes again.
Remember, Black Pill Jimmy's always right. Everything sucks. Stop trying.
And his opinions on Kevin Spacey haven't changed.
Man is a hero. He was exonerated. He did nothing wrong. Maybe that guy should have been so much of a twink, huh? How about that? You ever think that?
Damn it, Jim. All right, Chambers. So once in a blue moon, we get something big that happens in gaming before we record. And as of today, June 10th, yesterday was a very big showcase. It was Xbox Game Showcase. And from everyone I've seen, everyone pretty much agrees. It was pretty damn successful. They showed off a lot of great games and good gameplay footage. And I haven't seen much negativity, is what I'm saying, like where you usually see with these showcases.
Yeah, especially for Xbox. But it's funny, too, because PlayStation just had their showing at like the Summer Game Fest thing. And everyone went, wow, that sucked. That was a whole bunch of nothing. And then Xbox out of nowhere comes out and everyone's like, wow, Xbox is really coming out swinging with a lot of cool games. Like, we're in Bizarro land right now. I don't know what's going on.
Yeah, and here's the deal. There was a lot of games shown. There's only a handful Jim and I really, I'll be honest, care about, want to talk about. The first one, right off the bat, our yearly staple, Call of Duty Black Ops 6. Here's the deal. Jim and I both have said, might not agree on the number, but Black Ops is usually our favorite in the series. The nice thing with that is it's obviously going to focus a lot on the campaign, which I still like Call of Duty campaigns. The Black Ops ones are always, to me, some of the stronger ones.
How are we up to 6 of these already? Jesus.
It's fucking insane. Like, it's too much. But they're bringing back the original Prestige system in multiplayer, which is nice. And even better for me, they're finally getting back to round-based zombies mode, which is a big thing. Because us zombie folks, and even people who were casual, we've been missing it. You know, yes, Warzone's great and all that, but honestly, I want a little break from it. So I don't know. I didn't, when I see those, whenever I see the campaign trailers, I'm kind of like, looks cool. I got nothing else really to say about it other than it's something you and I are going to buy. We're going to do a midnight release. So, yeah.
Shit,
I'm excited.
I think we're going to have to buy an Xbox by the time that comes around. The old Xbox One was a little chuggy last year. A little too chuggy.
I think it's time, Jim. I think it's finally time.
Rest in peace to the old girl.
One that I'm actually curious if you care about at all. as someone who admittedly I did not grow up watching very often, the Indiana Jones game, like seeing the footage for it, it reminds me of like a even more cinematic Uncharted. And the
Oh yeah.
gameplay footage looks pretty damn cool. I can't sit here and act like I care about Indiana Jones. I enjoy the movies now, but I was someone who like first started seeing them in my mid 20s. So, I don't know. Is that game at all like were you into Indiana Jones? Does it look like it's something you'd be interested in?
I like the first 3 movies like everyone else. I saw the game and I went, yeah, it looks like Uncharted, and yeah, I don't really care.
So it's okay.
I'm,
Still
I'm,
looks
I'm
cool
in
though.
I'm in no hurry to play it. I'll be political about this.
Well, like you and I talked about, Chambers, like when we were talking about Killer Clowns from Outer Space, like, is this a way to get your old action stars, like, if they can't make a new movie that won't look fucking terrible with Harrison Ford, is a game a nice trade-off for that?
Did he
Like,
do
you
all the
get his
voice recording
voice.
for this?
Here's the deal.
Like, it sounds like
don't-
him, but like,
It sounds just like him,
is it like an
and-
imposter with like AI help at this point? I can't tell.
and that's kind of my question, right? Like, would you care? Like, if there was a movie franchise from the 80s or 90s that you loved and they decided make a game out of it instead of trying to like resurrect and CGI the shit out of their faces, like games might be a viable way of keeping your love of a certain thing going with a particular actor. And I don't know, I think that's an interesting idea.
Yeah, I mean, I'm kind of, old Black Pill Jimmy again. I'm kind of the thing of like, just leave the past in the past because 90% of these revivals suck. Or the ones they bring back from the past, like, always winds up garbage. Like, there's some good ones. Like, you have like Rambo in 2008 and shit like that. But a lot of the time, like, all the new Ghostbusters, it's like, who fucking cares? Like, there's new Indiana Joneses, like, they've sucked. Like, I just don't, I can't pretend to care. Leave the past in the past. It was cool. Leave the past in the past. Make something new.
All right. Well, speaking of past in the past, Gears of War E-Day. And I can't believe how many goddamn Gears of War games there are. Now, here's the deal. I've never had a Gears of War game I didn't play that I thought wasn't fun as shit. And this is interesting because if you know lore from Gears of War, then you know E-Day is like the day everything emerged and most of humanity died. So you're young Felix and what's his partner name? Like Santiago?
I've barely played them, so I don't know.
Yeah, like, so it's the two main characters, and they're much younger. So it's like of the day it happens, which I think is kind of a cool idea. Like, it's going back in the past, but like you're also seeing like like where it all came from. Now in movies, I think this can fuck up movies. In games, I think it's an interesting concept to explore, especially when you got a world like Gears of War that like you've explored the shit out of the future. You've done it all. Really, you don't need to go any further. So go back and show where it all started. I don't know. I think that was pretty well done trailer too.
No, I think that's a cool idea. A lot of prequels really shown at this thing. You want to just jump into Doom? Doom's a prequel.
Doom at this point, number one, that is the shining star of the entire showcase, in my opinion. I think that looked so badass, so cool. Yeah, is it a prequel? I don't even know what to call it.
I can't wait to use that shield. I can't wait.
The shield, the fucking dragon, the crossbow, like multi-loader, the skull gun, like they showed off so much. And when was the last Doom? When was Eternal? When did that come out?
19 or 20, maybe?
Yeah, like, so we've been a little while without a really great shooter. And you know what? As soon as I just saw that it was Doom, I was like, yep, I don't care what they show. And then they showed it, and I was like, pretty crazy idea. I'm all in. Like, that shield is so fun. I love people have already modded the original Doom to use that weapon. Like there's mods.
Are we talking
now.
like the original Doom or like 2016 or something like that?
No, the original Doom. Like, there's mods out there
Hell
with the
yeah.
shield. Yeah. So I am so into this game. There's nothing, there's not even a tinge of negativity I can think of. The only thing I forget, is that this year or next year?
25.
Ah, fuck. All right. So we got to wait. But I'm already going to throw it. It better be in a lot of Game of the Year categories. I don't know what it's up against, but it better fucking... I know it'll be up against whatever Switch decides to throw at us, but you know what? I guarantee you for fun, you're not going to beat Doom.
It's funny you say Doom was the shining one because everyone's talking about Perfect Dark right now.
Perfect Dark, it looks cool, right?
I mean, of course, there's a lot of argument about how her character design is, which I think she looks fine. I don't care.
What's wrong with her character design?
Exactly. But there's people on there bitching that she isn't like as sexily designed enough as she was in the 90s, or like they're saying like,
was she that
her
sexy
face
tonight?
structure.
I mean, I'm trying to think about it. Like,
I mean, that skin tight outfit, that pixie haircut,
Okay. Yeah. Of all the characters like who we've talked about, like the joke of desexification, like how like Sonya or Jill Valentine or these or even Lara Croft, those are arguments. Perfect Dark, I'd be like, meh. Yeah, I don't know. When I saw that trailer, I just thought this looks like a really good tech demo for like the full capabilities of the latest Xbox.
Well, I mean, that's what Hellblade was supposed to be, like, technically.
Which I could argue. I mean, yeah, you can argue. I think Hellblade...
That was supposed to be the graphic showcase, basically.
Yeah. But with Perfect Dark, I'll be honest, I'm afraid they're trying too much. There was a little bit of... what the fuck was that parkour game?
Mirror's Edge.
Like, there's elements of that, and...
Yeah, it's like Watch Dogs with Mirror's Edge with Perfect Dark, like all kind of mixed together.
Yeah, like so that's what my fear is like, is it gonna go too far? I have all my footage from the original N64 game. I have the Xbox 360, whatever year that game is. I enjoyed those. I don't think they're perfect games by any means, but it does look cool. But I feel like that has a much higher potential to be a flop. Like, is this footage actual gameplay, or is it that bullshit altered?
No, they said it in-game footage.
Because that's my only fear. Is like you play the game, you're like, why can't I do a stomp and then raise the guy's gun and do this and do all the stupid bullshit that's gonna surround it. Does look cool. I think I would try it. Won't shock me if it's on Game Pass, and if it is, I'll definitely play the shit out of it.
Yeah, like a new Fable. Like, I don't give a fuck about Fable. That's kind of been a dead franchise for a while. The Metal Gear Snake Eater remake thing that they're doing. People are bitching about the graphics in that.
Yeah. I think that look. See me, I looked at that and went, that looks pretty cool. You and I have notoriously said, never really dive deep into the Metal Gear franchise. I actually wish I could or would want to. And if they do more like these kind of remakes or whatever you want to call it, might get me back into it. Or into it, not back into it. But speaking back into it, Age of Mythology is one I got my boner for. The only problem with that is, once again, it looks like a graphical update of the original game. Like, it's called Age of Mythology Retold. They had an Age of Mythology HD remaster 7 years ago, something. But this is definitely a full graphic update, but already seeing some of the mechanics, I'm like, it doesn't seem like they changed much. And that is a super underrated RTS. I will play the shit out of it. I still do to this day. And if it's just a reskin, fine. But can you throw me something new in there? I don't know what I want. Just the franchise has been out forever. Give me something new. You can't just repackage the same old shit again for me. That would bother shit out of me.
Right, that's called Sonic.
That is called Sonic.
Oh my god, we have Shadow in it now. Shut up. Fucking cares.
Were you excited at all at State of Decay 3?
I was just gonna bring that up. I haven't watched the trailer for it yet. It's cool that there's a third one.
So yeah,
I thought kind of didn't do bomb a little bit. Maybe it was a bigger hit.
It was very middle of the road. It wasn't the same reception as one.
Yeah.
Dude, you know me. I'm the horror guy. I'm the zombie guy. I'm kind of...
Oh, we know. Out. We all fucking know, Brian.
I'm tapped out with it. Like, I don't care enough Will I play it if it's available for free? Absolutely. But what are you going to show me? Like the enjoyment of one and the fact of the simulation of like clearing homes, building a base, all this shit. How much more can you really add that's going to make me go, this is really worth a whole bunch of my time right now? I don't know if you can. I'm glad they're still going. More tits would make everything better, Jim. I'm not going to disagree with you there. But yeah, as a horror guy, I'm just like, oh, cool. They're still doing it. And I left it at that. I mean, the rest of it, I'll just say, it's crazy they're still doing Fallout 76 shit. And the game is actually super, super playable now, which is really nice compared to how it started. Like, I think that game is the most underrated Fallout game because it is fun. And they've been supporting it since its beginning, which is nice. And then you get a bunch of updates for games like Sea of Thieves, Elder Scrolls Online. What was the other ones? Flight Simulator, World of Warcraft. I did not even realize that was still going on. Like, oh yeah, that's how out of the loop I am with that shit.
Yeah, and then like I did Flintlock and like Mecha Break and all these other random ass games.
Yeah, I didn't care. Atomfall. That was one that I watched and I went, is this related to, what was that Atomic Age one in Russia with the robots that...
Atomic Heart? No, I think it's different.
Atomic Heart. Yeah, it is different. I thought it was like an offshoot. It's once again, it's like, now it's in Britain and there's robots and they're trying to mend that like World War II and robot style. I'm like, you guys have kind of killed that aesthetic. You need to move on this, like, and I get steampunk and all that shit is whatever, but like, move on. Try something else.
Metro, which kind of did it better too, so.
Yeah. Did you watch any of the Assassin's Creed Shadows footage?
No.
Yeah. You watch it and you go, oh, it's Assassin's Creed in Japan.
Oh, it's an Assassin's Creed game, yeah.
Oh,
hey, a black guy.
Yeah, I mean, they dive more into that story and... okay. Assassin's Creed in Japan. Like, at this point, I'm trying to figure out what timelines or cultures are left for them to really dive into. Like, I guess you could do, like, fucking William Wallace and fucking Scotland at that time with fucking kilts and you'd hit them with a dagger out of your dick. I don't know. You tell me, Jim.
I don't know. I don't care. I've never played any of them.
You've never played any of them?
Nope, never did.
See, I think you might enjoy them.
I think 2010 Jimmy would have probably enjoyed them and had the time to really delve into them. Now that just seems like way too much of an investment.
That's that black pill talking, Jim.
It's true. I have precious little time left, Brian. I need to enjoy it while I can. Not dicking around with the Ubisoft sandbox game that's $10 after a month, number 40. I'm good.
I did, you know what? Of these games, though, there were a few that I saw which were it seemed narrative driven, which are going to be the ones that are going to piss us off that they'll end up on Game of the Year. You're like, what is this game they're talking about? Like, what was the one? It was a music based game. It was,
Mixtape.
Mixtape. Yeah, I saw that right away, and I'm like, that's some bullshit that like indie lovers will be like, oh my God, it's so cute.
That's the Oscar bait, as we used to say.
Yes, that's exactly what that is. So, I don't know. I'm still thoroughly impressed by the showcase. It got people excited. I'll say that. It did better than Nintendo and PlayStation have done for the past couple years. I'll throw that out there. Piss off some people.
Yeah. Everyone comment. Tell Brian how wrong he is.
Oh, Jim, I got enough hate for my hate of that label, the beer label.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah.
That must have been on TikTok.
Well, there and on Instagram, people that I was actually shocked that were willing to defend it, that were upset that I was upset by a label, or just complete defenders of that particular brewery. I was like, really? Like, you care this much? And you know my level of where I was like, I'll engage. I was like, you know what? I'm not going to engage. I'll leave it at that. So, Yeah, interesting.
I'll take a look.
But speaking of people that piss everyone off, one of your favorites that you still simp for. Let's talk about limited run games.
I need to get a soundboard for this goddamn podcast because we could easily have a stinger for limited run games at this point with how much it comes up.
Dude. Like the fucking and the picture's up as I'm speaking. So
Bye.
Go ahead.
Let me introduce
Set it
this.
up. Set it up.
So, on June 4th, only a mere 6 days ago, Limited Run Games tweeted out, "You may have seen our Clock Tower Rewind PC release and asked, LRG, what the heck is a PC Micro Edition? It's a new way that we're presenting our entry-level PC editions. PC Micro Editions include a DRM-free version of the game on USB and a collectible printed mini box." So, Brian,
collectible printed mini box, which it's such bullshit. I fucking hold on. As we were talking, and this was maybe it was subconscious. I'm dicking around right here. Look what's in my hand.
oh, Brian, that's funny. Look what's in my hand.
Yeah. These cheapy fucking USB things that you get given to you if you go to a conference, if you go to some free shit, or people just want to give you whatever. It's as cheap as it fucking gets.
This is what they're putting their games on. This is like Brian said, every goddamn company in the world. My company bought like 10,000 of these back in 2015, and we're still going through them. And guess what? Like, yeah, they're cheap and they do the job. They don't scream premium content. They don't scream high quality. And you know what? You get some duds. You buy these big-ass ones, and you get duds that just don't work and hold shit. So this is just going to invite problems where people are going to get their order, and their fucking thumb drive isn't going to goddamn work because it's a cheap fucking thumb drive. That they're going, oh, thanks for the $50 for our $5 box with an engraving on it, and maybe a little printing on the stupid cover thing here.
Jim,
what are we doing here?
Here's where I'll freely admit my ignorance.
I get it. We don't have disk drives on most computers anymore. I get it. Expecting a disk drive or something like that, sure. Like, I'm a realist, but come on.
But here's my question. Why is it important that it's DRM free?
Because if it's DRM, then you need certain... it's an anti-piracy thing, but DRM always leads to more problems with installs and like compatibility over time than it's worth.
But like, I guess, isn't that... aren't most things that are distributed this way DRM free?
No, because... pardon me. No, because there are going to be... No, for the most part, everything's kind of like locked, so you can't just, I mean, basically, it being DRM free, you can just like kind of rip the file, I'm assuming, off of the USB stick and give it to whoever, or let multiple people install.
That's kind of my question, right?
Like
so that's what I mean. Like, if you're going to use it, also, I'm sorry, I'm fucking confused. They're talking about Clock Tower Rewind PC. What the fuck is that game they have? Trip World DS? Like,
it's some other shit dick game. I mean, it might be fine. I don't know anything about it.
No. Why don't they have Clock Tower Rewind behind the picture?
I don't know. Maybe this is a better picture to show off their USB stick. I don't know.
Like, you need a good picture to show off a fucking USB. Like, this is inherently my issue with limited run games. That's why I want to hit you every time I hear you wasted money on this. Guys, who is buying this shit? If you're going to spend the money, then you just fucking emulate at this point. Completely. Like, what is the price, do you think, of this?
This is, I mean, it's going to at least be $40 probably, at the very least. With their usual $8 of shipping for standard editions and crap like that. It wouldn't shock me if it was more.
Listen, when they go out of their way to create labels, to create physical cartridges, to create all the shit, I can appreciate a cost to it. When it's a fucking USB stick.
this with a sticker on it.
Come on. Please don't fucking buy it. Like, this is so beyond ridiculous where I'm like, that's as lazy as it gets. What's next?
The next level of lazy, which I think they're already dipping their toes into is just a collector's set edition that doesn't come with any kind of game inside it. You just get like a download code.
Well, that's what I was going to say.
You're paying for a fucking
digital,
box.
Yeah, it's a digital download where you're just paying. Yeah, you're paying for art or a box. Fuck, man. Like, this is so ridiculous. How do they still make money? Are people this
Collector
naive?
sickness. Collector sickness.
Fuck, man. And I've asked you this before. Are collectors considering games like this part of the official collection when considering how many numbers of games are available for a given system?
I don't know. I don't know anymore.
Should they? I'm just asking Chambers Wambers. I'm not asking the world. I'm asking your opinion. If you were going to say, I want a complete collection of Switch games, and you know how many bullshit Switch games they've put out, should you count it as part of your like official collection?
I would say a yes with an asterisk, because it's not like it's a full third-party distributor, even though they eventually turned into like a real third-party distributor. I don't know. It's weird. But I'll just give it a yes. Like, it came out on cartridge as, a printed game. You can just say, it had a small print run. So I'll say yes. Like, Uniracers on the Super NES only had like 10,000 copies out there before it got pulled off shelves. So, that's kind of like an official thing. Even though I think that came from an official whatever. I don't know. I'll say yes.
So at the end of the day, I'm just going to say, don't be shocked when it is to Jim's point. You're literally just going to have a fucking loose leaf paper that says IOU, and here's a digital download code in a fucking container, and you're going to pay a limited run for that. Like, it's ridiculous.
Eventually, it's just going to be a picture of Nelson pointing at you and laughing.
This is true. So, you see companies like this that do dumb shit, and you're like, how they survive. And then you see shit like Suicide Squad, and you wonder, how did you become the biggest flop in the industry? So, Chambers, why don't you explain to folks this article from Bloomberg?
Yep, so this comes to us from Bloomberg by Jason Squire, who I have said before, even though he has me blocked on Twitter, he is the only game journalist that I respect. And yeah, it is a pretty long article. I would say, for whatever reason, when I clicked the link off mobile and Twitter, like, it gave me the full article, where right now it's looking like it's paywalled on my PC. So, yeah. But yeah, it goes into the whole thing about how, like, they had an idea for another game that they eventually just completely scrapped and said, oh, hey, Suicide Squad made $700 million in the theaters. We're making a Suicide Squad game. And then Rocksteady Studios, who was, behind the Arkham series, great at making games, great at making single-player games. And they never really played an online kind of game like this before. A game as a service. They had a very high-level perfectionist, kind of guy who kept making these changes and driving the developers nuts. And then the guy left the company right before, like, soon before the game came out. Just a whole bunch of issues and misfires with the game, and it goes into, like, extensive detail. And I think he said he, like, interviewed, like, 24 people who obviously all remained anonymous and crap like that. But, yeah, huge, gigantic flop for fucking WB and Rocksteady. And it just kind of shows,
here's my question for you.
All right.
Do you think it was a flop just because it had a fucking $200 million investment? Because from what I saw, the game looks... I haven't played it. I'll say that. I have not played it. It looked like an interesting idea. It looked like the gameplay would have been fun.
Just to cut you off real quick. It was also weirdly implemented with the characters in the IP. And in the article, they made a good argument. It's like, why the fuck is Captain Boomerang using a gun? Captain Boomerang uses a boomerang to kill people. That's why it's Captain Boomerang. Why does he have a gun?
I mean, you can get into all that, but I'm just saying, inherently, if a game has $200 million dumped into it, and it's not a Call of Duty, Fortnite, like some crazy, well-established thing, is it almost guaranteed to be a flop because you spent so much, or was it a flop literally just on the fact that it wasn't that fun of a game? Like, could this have been, if this was a $30 million, $20 million game, would it have been just fine?
this would have been a flop no matter what, both critically and commercially and in sales. But this could have been like a flop, say, critically, but people loved it and bought it because it was a fun game. At the end of the day, a fun game's a fun game, and people are going to know about it and want to buy it. So for this game to get such like little love and be bashed as much as it was, almost universally, kind of almost like Marvel's Avengers, it's just a bad game.
Which is funny because I still defend Marvel's Avengers as a game. Am I going to defend its worth its price tag? I don't even know what they put into that. When I played it, I enjoyed it. I didn't think it was like, I'm not saying it's a S tier game, but it was completely fine compared to some of the fucking superhero games we have played. Like, don't get me started on Iron Man, but
happy birthday,
like when I see how much this is hated, I just go, I want to kind of try it myself because I looked at the reviews and these people gave it shit like 60s out of 100 or 3.5 stars, all these things. Not every game needs to be 10 out of 10. You talked about comments we received. I love one of our old comments that we got is a dude that must have went through our backlog. He's like, I've watched a lot of your videos. You guys are really tough with your ratings. Like, you gave Splatterhouse a 6 or 7. Like, what
I saw
gets
that,
a 9 or 10? And I'm like...
we have like 2 with a 9. Yeah.
Yeah, and I'm like, because that's the inherent problem with, like, your IGNs and everything else is, like, every AAA game is a 9 and 10. You give little room for true perfection, so I don't know. Maybe I'm just too...
No, Brian, we give little room for true perfection.
Or
with our fucking
I'm saying
metrics.
if you give everyone a 10, then perfect means nothing, right?
Right, yes.
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. Like, so I don't know. I'm just curious. When I saw how much they spent on this budget, I'm like, of course it's gonna be a flop. It's not gonna make that kind of money. I don't care what your IP is. And DC, even you DC defenders, you're not as good as Marvel, period. You're not. Maybe in the comic realm you might have a different feeling, but cinematically, video game wise, you can't compete. Batman is always going to be your biggest moneymaker. And I thought what was weird is it came from the same people who made Arkham, which are amazing games.
Yeah, amazing single-player games.
True.
Making a single-player game and making a, online service game is a way different atmosphere.
True. And I don't know. I still want to try it. I just want to try it to say, you know what, I did try it. It fucking sucks. Like, it is terrible. But I just didn't realize it was that big of a flop. I know I hadn't heard much about it, but did we ever find out, like, didn't Arkham Knights suffer a similar fate? I thought that was pretty hated on.
Yeah, that wasn't really loved at all.
No.
Yeah, I think that was kind of hated for being oversimplified and all, too. So maybe they were just stretched too thin between the two games, or maybe Rocksteady lost his fastball. I don't know.
Could be. I mean, that's why Rocksteady, stick to your GTAs. Just stick to 12-year-old IPs at this point.
No, that's Rockstar.
Oh, yes, it is. As soon as I said it, I was like, wait, that's Rockstar, not Rocksteady. It's all the same to me, Jim.
Stupid.
But, Chambers, we've talked a shit ton about revivals, bringing things back. And this is one I couldn't wait to talk to you. I talked a little bit with Donnie and Blue when I was on their podcast. I'm really curious for your take on the Silent 2 Hill remake. As we're talking, I'll have
Silent 2 Hill?
Jim, these beers are 9.5%. I've gone through too many of them. I'm
What,
feeling
one?
the effects. It's my third one. Look at this shit.
I had a snifter.
You're just sitting there sipping on your goddamn green cummy Ecto Coolers. And I haven't eaten much today, Jim.
Excuses. Hearing excuses. But yeah, I only had one Ecto Cooler and now I'm on a Coors Light, so
I'm
sick.
bitch. Look at you. Wah. But yes, Silent
go,
Hill
dyslexia.
2 remake. Hey, you knew that was an old problem. Sorry. So what did you think when you saw this? Because I know, you were definitely, when we were growing up, way more into Silent Hill 2. And I've admitted, the only Silent Hill I've played is the one you lent me, and I played the first one. I have the remakes. I want to get the original. I'm just not willing to pay $200 for a PS2 game. What did you think when you saw these trailers and gameplay footage?
I'll let you borrow my Silent Hill to play it.
You have two?
Yeah, I have two. I have 2 and 3.
Okay.
I'll let you borrow them when you finish up Ocarina of Time.
I'm just giving that back to you. I'm not getting to that. You know what? I've already given up on the...
You got through the first 2 dungeons and that was it? The first, hour and a half of gameplay?
That game is so fucking overrated. Don't get me started on it. Just listen. You and I have both relegated to the fact that we're not going to do 5 franchises. We're probably not even getting through 24 games. So you know what? This is a year we give up the lost hopes. We're giving up the lost hope of fucking Ocarina of Time. I'll gladly gift wrap that with a fucking USB from Limited Run Games if I can borrow Silent Hill 2. Because that game I'll play the shit out of.
All right. Fine.
But no, I do know. This is one of those games where I know all about it. And watching the trailer, and one of the things I'll say, and then I want to hear you go deep into it, is in this age of remakes and everything, especially given the Resident Evil model, you can't just strictly remake the game. You got to kind of add action elements. And it's interesting from the articles we tagged below because the original devs did want to do more change. And Bluebird, the team responsible for the remake, is saying, no, keep it the original. I don't think today's audience can handle that psychological horror the way back in PS2 days. It was new. It was this is scary as shit. Whereas today, because of the Resident Evil remakes, you need a lot more action to keep people's attention. Atmosphere and suspense aren't really enough to keep up with the times. So I don't know. What's your take on all that?
All right, so let's go through one by one. So the first thing they released was the trailer, and that seemed to be very divisive. A lot of people really not liking, what's her face? Angela, I think is her name is. Not liking her look, not liking Maria's outfit change that they put her in, criticizing the voice acting, criticizing the graphics in general. And when I saw it, I was like, yeah, the faces are goofy, but faces were kind of always goofy in Silent Hill. There was always something a little off-putting about them. I don't think they look good, and I don't think they look really next gen, but I went, all right. I thought the voice acting was fine. I didn't really think it was bad. I didn't think it was amazing, but I went, all right, that'll do. And then we had the gameplay trailer, and I saw that, and I went, this actually looks pretty decent. This looks like Silent Hill 2 in the modern age. The combat looks a little janky, but the original combat was janky. So I almost feel like it should be janky and not super fluid to add to that, suspense to yourself. You shouldn't feel a super cop who can go through the hospital and the school and kill all the ghouls and all that shit. It should feel like a struggle every time you fight. Yeah, then I saw the article where it's basically the original people wanted to do more changes to the game, and Blooper Team themselves, they're kind of divisive. Because they did Layers of Fear, Blair Witch, and The Medium. So, some success and some games that were really just, did not live up to expectations at all. So a lot of people were very nervous about them being behind this. Right now, I'm going solely off of the gameplay trailer that they showed, the gameplay reveal. I'm cautiously optimistic. I'm not thinking right now that I'm super hyped for it or that I think it's going to be amazing. But right now, I think it'll be fine.
Let me ask you.
Which is probably the biggest win Silent Hill would have had in 15 years is for a game to come out that's fine.
All right, so we know, as we said, Bloober is developer, but unfortunately in this day and age, Konami has a very tainted name in this day. They tend to be like Sega. They just fuck everything up.
You don't say.
So,
hey, Bri,
how many times have you beat Silent Hill?
Bri. Who published the last physical copy of Contra, the new Contra game? It was limited
Came
run.
out. Of course it was.
They farmed it out the limited run to sell the physicals for that game for Gulag.
I mean, the last I
Gulaga,
remember,
whatever it is.
the last big news I remember us covering Konami was they wanted to do like casino games and like mobile like betting games.
Oh yeah, I mean they've been doing their pachinko shit forever and the casino stuff. No, the last big news we had was the news of them wanting to bring back their old IPs, which they are kind of doing. Like we just had a new Contra game. The remake for Silent Hill 2 is coming out. There's always talk here and there about a Castlevania coming, and then you never really hear any more about that. But
how many times have you beat Silent Hill 2?
2 or 3, something like that.
Okay, so you've played it enough. When you watch a trailer, did you think, wow, this deviates so much from that original game that I'm worried about that? Or were you like, oh, it seems pretty true, but nice graphical updates, sound updates, like all, like Resident Evil 2.
Oh, from what I saw from the trailer, I didn't think it deviated at all. Like,
Okay.
They might be just holding it back, obviously. But, yeah, I was like, oh, yeah, I remember that. Oh, I remember that. Hey, I remember that.
Okay. But to my original question, can a modern audience, do you think they appreciate psychological horror? Because Bloober, of all people, like you said, Layers of Fear, that's basically a walking simulator where you're just getting creeped out by your visuals. Blair Witch, I streamed that. Just very similar. It's a walking cycle. So obviously they have a penchant for psychological games, and
wasn't the medium a huge disappointment for all the like horror community?
The medium was, but there are other games, like clearly that's their thing, right? And when you think psychological horror, undoubtedly Silent Hill is the top of that pile when it comes to games. So I guess they are the best to bring back the original intent, but like we said, if you want to make money in this day and age, is that what people are looking for? Or do they want the jump scares? Do they want more action oriented? I don't know.
I mean, if they pull it off and make a good game out of it, it could be like a breath of fresh air. Just because like everything is it's like, what's horror games these days? It's either the jump scare walking games or it's the asymmetrical heavy combat games with horror IPs.
Yeah.
There's like
real in
between.
Even Resident Evil, it's back to 4 and 3. They were super action oriented, right? Like, so
even 2's
right
remake was super action oriented. Everything was just a fucking bullet sponge. So instead of like,
but
limiting your ammo.
2 was just like 2 was back in the day, where it's like it was freakier, the enemies were more the atmosphere was crazy. With like 4, it was just like straight action again, in my opinion. Yeah, I don't know. Like horror games right now are in a weird spot. That's why like I am like you, I'm hoping this could spark a new interest in. It doesn't need to be all about how limited your resources are and the action elements. It could be more psychological. You take in the atmosphere and you're actually freaked out. Like I think this generation of horror gamers are so desensitized to like psychological horror that I'm hoping that the nerdiness of like A24 and Blumhouse movies, those nerds would be the type that would enjoy this type of thing.
Hopefully.
Yeah. I'm going to play Shadow of it, but yes, I will gladly swap you your Ocarina for your Silent Hill 2.
I should hold it hostage. I should make you finish Ocarina before I let you have it. You know what? Fuck you. You have to finish Ocarina before I give
Jim,
it to you.
How about this? We start the clock. Who finishes what first? I beat Ocarina, or you get Tetris 99 one?
No, you're going to beat Ocarina before that. That's fine. But no, this isn't a negotiation here, Brian. I hold the prize.
I hold the prize. Ocarina, Jim.
I hold the prize. You beat goddamn Ocarina. You show that you beat Ocarina, and I will let you have Silent Hill 2 and borrow it.
I don't want to beat it. It's so bad. I'm tired of
fucking
monkey. Trying to fly with cuckoos. I don't want to do it no more.
You didn't even do it once.
I did it twice, and it was annoying.
Fucking liar.
Goddamn noise. And don't even get me started about those goddamn rocks. Those rock people, whatever the fuck their name is.
The Gorons? The delightful Gorons? Who hates the Gorons?
And their theme music goes down just as annoying as Dick Diggity Dog.
Oh, Dick Diggity Dog's a classic, Brian.
Don't you dare.
Bri, have fun with Ocarina.
Don't you dare. Don't you dare. Don't make me dip into our Patreon funds for a Silent Hill 2 game.
Oh, don't you fucking dare.
So, Chambers, I know you bitched down and didn't go to a second one, but how was your Ecto Cooler?
I only had the one Ecto Cooler. So, weirdly enough, I think I bought this in North Carolina, thinking, like, because we went to a bottle shop. And, like, I just assumed that they were all local beers. So, this was, like, lined up there, so I guess this was distributed down there. So, little do I know, I go down to North Carolina and come back with a fucking PA beer. Because that's classic Jimmy. But, no, this was goddamn delicious. Like, you could really taste the lactose in there, but it wasn't overpowering. And it tasted like an Ecto Cooler with lactose and booze, and you didn't even taste the booze. So, absolutely delicious. Highly recommended. Just fucking go get it. Like, beer snobs will probably hate it because it doesn't taste like a beer at all, really.
Do you think you would want more than one in a night?
That's questionable. You know what? After I had my one, I was like, I could really go for a second one. I think two would be pushing it because it's very sugary and very sweet. So it could probably really easily get that like sugary film on you, but I think two would be the limit.
Okay. Oh boy. The Juicy Monkey has already kicked my ass tonight. Every time, like, I'm already done the pack I bought the other night, and it is so strong, but it's so goddamn good, Jim. I think I'm going to bring a pack down for when we go too many games, and you're going to experience it, and we'll have more Jimmy stories.
Wonderful. Better load up on the animal crackers.
At a minimum, we already know somebody who's joining us for at least one night. We'll see if it's multiple night. We'll be able to announce that probably as we get a little bit closer. But, Jim, I think, you know what? You're going to have to go with his method and do some carrots and celery. Because
you know what?
Crackers...
Maybe it's that ultra clean lifestyle he lives. Maybe that's the secret to his power. You can't be 6'3" and 130 pounds and fucking be able to drink like a fish and not be affected by it. Bullshit. Fucking liver of steel.
Oh, but Chambers, it is good to have you back. Can't wait to talk more next week, and we are going to be talking with someone later this week. Are we able to announce that?
Yeah, we'll announce it next week after it definitely happened. But yeah,
okay.
End of this week, we should be guessing on a podcast. So next week, you'll hear about what that podcast was.
Yeah, and make sure, check out the Gamers Week podcast below. Once again, I love talking with Blue and Donnie. They love all my old random ass references that I pull out of my ass. And
you do that.
You know me, Chambers. So with that, I want to say thank you so much, everyone. If you're listening, if you're watching, please, if you're watching on YouTube, don't only hit the subscription, hit the notification bell so you can see every time we upload a new short, a new video. We really appreciate the support. And if you're listening on iTunes or Spotify, hit the subscribe button, give us a 5-star rating. And even if you want to bash us in the comments, we'll read on each and every one of these Power Hour podcasts. With that, we want to say have a good night, everyone, and cheers.
Cheers, everybody.